A goal without a plan is just a wish.
I wish I could defer my taxes indefinitely.
So the big question is this. As real estate agents, how do we figure out where and when to cross the finish line of this crazy business? We're told that we need to build a real estate business that supports us after we pay our dues. Well, the truth is that so many agents spend decades looking for the finish line and never find it. And I don't know about you, but we'll be damned if we're doing open houses until we're 70. You have to have passive streams of income in your real estate business if you want to survive. Well, this is exactly what we're talking about right here, right now, on the Passive Real Estate Agent Podcast. All right, so you've heard sayings like that, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And if you don't have a target to aim for, then, you're just going to get whatever you hit, right? And, one of the things that I've done in my coaching and training with real estate agents, and this applies across the board to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're selling real estate as a real estate agent, or if you are an investor trying to sell and buy and sell a certain number of homes, or buy and hold a certain number of homes, or if you're in any business, anything in life. You could be a student, you could be a housewife. If you don't have goals, then you're not gonna get anywhere. And I like to paint a picture. When I tell people, I say, set a goal. There's that saying that people say, well, what does your life look like in 5 years from now? What does your life look like in 10 years and 20 years from now? And everybody goes, oh my gosh, I'm on an island, sipping drinks with a funny umbrella in it, just because I can, and it's like, that's great. That's great. And I would assume most of you have heard the saying that none of that stuff matters if you don't have it written down, right? If you don't have a goal written down. I just got off a call with another great trainer, and this is one of the things that they talked about, so I thought it was relevant to talk about right now with goals. And you got the thing is, you got to have something to aim at. You have to have something to aim at, and if you don't, then you really just land all over the place, and you sit there and question, go, why haven't I reached that financial position? That why haven't I reached that, or reached that family position, or that status within this group, or the whatever it is, right? And you got to think about it like a bow and arrow hitting a target. You're shooting for that bullseye, but if there's no target out in the field for you to shoot, you just shoot randomly. It lands in the dirt, right? So you want to make sure that you have some sort of goals. But one of the other things that I talked, and I'm not going to go into deep about that, because I think you all know you have to have it written down. I have a whiteboard right here on my wall right now, and it says, for the remainder of the year, my goal is $320,000 in gross closed commissions. That's for the remainder of the year. So that's in the next 3 months. I got some hustling to do. Okay. And I also have a goal every single month of 45,000 in gross commissions. So as long as I have something to aim at, then I know what I have to do every single day to get there. Okay. But if I'm just like, well, I got to pay a few bills, so I need a little bit of money, I'm not going to get there. I'm just not going to get there. There's no way possible. And I also tell people to look out into the future. There's a lot of, it's like $45,000 a month. For a lot of people, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a bazillion dollars. You can't do that, right? But people do it every single day. And the reason is because instead of looking right in front of them and going, well, what do I do today? What do I do today? They look way out in the distance. And this is what I do. I look way out in the distance because I know where I want to get to. And you've probably heard this a lot of times too. People looking way out in the distance, they go, I have no clue how to get there, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out how to get way over there because that's what my goal is. And I just make it happen. And the most amazing thing is, as long as you keep your eyes out into the distance out there, for whatever reason, it always seems to work out. It seems to get, you find that right path that you fall into, because when you're looking at it so short-sighted right in front of your face like this, it's hard to see what that path is.
Right.
Okay. So definitely you need to do that. Now, and then one other thing I wanted to talk about with goals, this is a really interesting concept that they talked about today, and they talked about compressing time. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time.
Compressing time.
Yeah, compressing time. Yeah. And you think of some crazy sci-fi movie or something like that, right? Where they're doing, folding space or something like that. But no, it's not.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is it comes down to focus. And in the exercise they actually had us do today, so I looked at, I closed it. Okay. So in the exercise that they had us do today, they said, okay, so set your goal for the year for 12 months. What is your income goal for 12 months? Okay. And so I wrote down $540,000. By the way, there's a reason why I'm actually saying these numbers out loud. A lot of people would be shy about saying these numbers, but there's a reason why I say these numbers out loud, because it creates a certain type of accountability for myself that, hey, I'm, it's out there. People know, and so then if they see, Anthony only made $30,000 this year, what a loser. I can't let that happen. My vision's out there. But anyways, what he talked about, he said, well, it comes down to focus. And if you take 13 weeks out of the year, there's a book called The 12-Week Year. I believe that's what it's called, 12-Week Year. This gentleman that we talked about he talks about the 13-week year. And the reason is because 13 weeks is a quarter. Okay. And he said, if you take your time and you put intense focus on your goal in that 13 weeks, you can accomplish a full year's worth of work in 13 weeks. And think about it. How much time do you actually spend every single day working on the activities that you need to move forward? How much time? How much time do you spend, Matt?
Not enough.
Not enough. It's for all of us.
Yeah.
It's never enough. It's never enough. And so, but if we take our focus and we just laser focus it in, and I mean time blocking and all this stuff, said this is what I'm doing from this time to this time, that's it. And somebody knocks on the door, or somebody comes in, or the spouse or the friend or the phone call from a random person, like, you know what, I can't right now, I'm sorry, I'll do it later. I'll tonight we can go do that, whatever, but right now I am focused on this. And you can compress that. If you put that focus, intense focus, you can compress a year's worth of activity into a 13-month period and reach that goal. So I have a goal of 540,000 in a year. Well, if I really just put that focus, I can do that in 13 weeks. Think about that. That is pretty intense.
Yeah.
Right. But then take it one step farther, and this is kind of where the mind-blowing part was. It's like it's easy for me to sit here and say, 13 weeks. I get it, but it's a mindset that you have to adapt, right? You have to take into account of what that mindset is. What you're like, yes, I can do that. You know what? I can focus. I can get the job done. Or no, I'm too lazy. I don't want to do that. I want to just lay around and watch TV and stuff like that. Fine. That's what, you get what you get. But if you take a full year and you compress it into 13 weeks, well, what happens if you took another 13 weeks and continued that level of focus?
You've just doubled your productivity.
You just doubled your productivity. What if you took that level of focus and did it all 4 quarters? You got 4 times as much, right?
I think the momentum is huge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. And think about this too. It's like, so one of the challenges that a lot of people have when they're trying to accomplish their goals is support systems. So they go, well, yeah, oh, that sounds great, but man, I'm tired by the end of the day, and I'm grinding, I'm doing all the work and all the stuff, and chances are it's probably because they don't have the right support systems, like the right transaction coordinators or the right escrow people or the right title insurance people or virtual assistants or fill in the blank, right? There's a lot of other people who will do the daily grind work for you, and they'll do it happily, and they'll do it for a fair price that helps you to get to a huge goal, right? Because when you're doing it yourself and you're doing the $10 an hour activity yourself, well, you're only getting paid $10 an hour,
Right.
you know. But if you're focusing on the $500 an hour activities and you're paying somebody else $10 an hour, it does become affordable. You might have to do it yourself in the beginning,
Right.
but man, grind for 13 weeks and with intense focus, you can get that done, right?
Yeah.
Now, but here's the big problem though that happens with that is you grind and you start making all this money, then what? What happens? Who gets involved? Who wants to reach into your pocket?
The significant other, the kids.
Aside from that, that's a given.
Uncle Sam, huh?
Uncle Sam, yeah, Uncle Sam, they want your taxes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Wow, look, Anthony's all of a sudden making all kinds of cash. So, Matt, how do I avoid that problem?
Well, if you're investing, I can tell you that. If you're a real estate agent, then you want write-offs, obviously.
Absolutely.
But what I'm getting into today is a 1031 exchange, and what that is, it's an actual IRS code that allows investors to defer their capital gains tax to some future date. So basically, capital gains, you buy a property for $1 million, you sell it for $1.5 million. That 500,000 extra, you have to pay capital gains tax. But there is the 1031 code that allows you to exchange that property, the profits, as long as you are investing in a similar or higher value property.
Like kind of, yeah.
You can delay the taxes. You're going to have to pay them someday, but for now, you can reinvest that $500,000 into an equal or greater value property. So it just has to be an investment. It can't be your personal home. It can't be things like that. It has to be an investment. So that's the caveat. And there's some other steps that we need to take to do it properly.
Let me ask you a question. So if I had a property that I bought for $1 million and it's worth $1.5 million, why don't I just sell the $1.5 million property and then go and take 500,000 in cash and go buy another $1 million property? What would be the downside to that?
You can do that if you want to, and pay the taxes on the 500,000. No problem.
And do you know the rate for the capital gains?
Well, I think it depends on your personal situation. It depends on your income and some other things. I don't know the specific. It could be 27. It could be 12.
No, I know what it is. I know what the rate is.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Too much. Yeah.
It's a lot more you want to get rid of. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you can pay your taxes and be done with it, and take the balance and invest that extra leftover cash. But if you can defer the tax, you can use more of that money to reinvest and grow your investments to a larger. But basically, there's a what is it called? An intermediary. I made a note so I remember the word. It's similar to that of an escrow company. So they are the ones that handle all the paperwork and the monies that you would have from the sale of the property. So you're not going to handle that money. They are going to handle it. That way you're not getting in trouble with Uncle Sam. And then they will make sure that it's being followed properly. But there's also two other things that you got to realize to make the 1031 exchange work. You've got to identify the new property within 45 days of the sale of the one you just sold. And then you've got 180 days to close on that new property. And so the intermediary will help you keep track of that. You're going to want to have a good CPA that's going to help keep track of what you're doing, because like I said, you're going to pay those taxes someday. You're just deferring it to some future date. But but the intermediary will help
Yeah,
you.
and one of the things that I've always heard and have known is that when you sell that property to buy a replacement property, do not ever let that deposit go into your bank account.
Right.
Don't let $1 of that deposit go into your bank account.
They call that commingling, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but what it does is it breaks the advantage of the 1031 exchange. So now you are paying capital gains on it. But talking about increasing the value. So you have a $1 million property. It's now worth $1.5 million. You have the opportunity to sell that property to a bigger. So maybe you had, here in Orange County, $1 million is, a 6-unit building, maybe.
Might be a fourplex.
Yeah, it might be a fourplex. But now you can sell it for $1.5 million, and now you move up to a 10-unit building, right? So you're collecting, and if you're, and if it's a straight out just basic cash purchase, right? You're just taking that $1.5 million, you're buying the other one outright, and you're getting, again, here in Orange County, you're getting, for a 2-bedroom apartment, you're getting, $2,200 a month.
Right.
And you start doing the math on that. How long does it take for that income to generate to replace that, the money you would have lost on the capital gains had you just sold it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's part of underwriting an investment, where you're looking at the numbers and what kind of return are you getting. I'm putting in $500,000. Well, at what rate am I getting on that money? And so you're going to look at the expenses. You're going to look at the income. Are there ways to lower the expenses and increase the income so that that return is better and you're getting your money back more quickly? Right. Those are all really important steps in investing like that.
Yeah, I've seen people I've had clients who they've had properties like this, and they thought, man, I'm going to make, $500,000 on this property, which is great. That's $500,000, right? But you know what they all do? They cash out, and then they go and they all need a Jaguar, right? A serious that holds no value, and then they got to go on a vacation, right?
Right.
And then they go, and then they buy other stuff, and then they just kind of go, man, wait a minute, this money was wasted, as opposed to collecting that monthly income coming in, at a significant rate.
I don't know if you've ever listened to Dave Ramsey, but he talks about that. Things with wheels tend to depreciate quickly. So it's better to, take that money and put it into something that's going to grow until you can cash flow anything that you want to buy.
Right. And that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game we're talking about, is passive income for real estate agents. As a real estate agent in this industry, you should be knowing these things. Number one, you should be aware of them, but there's a lot of agents out there who know them, but don't take advantage of them. Right. There's ways to build your business in a way where you're getting cash flow. Just from a real estate business standpoint, there's a way to grow your portfolio from a real estate investment standpoint. Right. And it's critical. And again, in my opinion, not just to be a hobbyist in this business and say, well, I'm just going to go and sell a few houses, every once in a while just to keep my bills paid, because it's my job, because then it is just a job. It's just the only difference is you just work for yourself. You are your own boss, but it's still just a job. If you don't get up and go to work every day, and make sales, then you have no income. You have no business to speak of. Right.
Right.
So, if people want to learn more, Matt, about these different opportunities, or they want to reach out to us. I mean, Matt, you're willing to take a call, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's we'll have links in the show notes. There's also our website, the passiverealestateagent.com.
The passiverealestateagent.com. We're still developing the site right now.
We've got the domain.
Yeah. So we're still putting the finishing touches on that, so you guys can get out there. By the time you hear this podcast, it will be available. But yeah, the passiverealestateagent.com, and both of our contact information is there. You can learn more about just generating passive income so that you can enjoy the life that you deserve to live, as well as setting up a legacy for your family.
There you go.
That's one of the things that breaks my heart in the probate space that I deal a lot with, is the mom and dad pass away and they just don't have anything to leave their kids, and not because they didn't try. It's just life's hard, but there are ways to make that happen. So anything you want to wrap up with, Matt?
I want to thank everyone for tuning in yet again. Next week, we should be talking about property types, neighborhood types, kind of where they go, what's the difference between an A, B, C, and D. Gosh, there's a whole bunch of topics. I mean, I've got a bunch that I look forward to speaking to, but next week we'll talk about that. In future weeks, we'll talk about syndication, what that is. I don't have money. How do I invest in real estate? There's ways of doing that. If you're OPM. OPM. Other people's money. There you go.
That's it. All right, guys. Just remember, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Make a goal. Make your goal to be prosperous, generate passive income for yourself, and live a great life.
Let's take some
action.
Catch you on
the episode. Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the Passive Real Estate Agent Podcast. Hey, do us a favor and subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. Don't forget the likes and the comments. We always appreciate it. And, it really helps others to find this valuable information. Now, look, there's something that both Matt and I and several of our guests have discovered that has radically changed our real estate job into a truly passive income. And it's a little controversial, and that's why we really don't discuss it on the show. But we'd like to invite those truly entrepreneurial individuals to learn more. Just visit thepassiverealestateagent.com and join one of our upcoming webinars. You'll thank yourself later that you did. Thanks again so much for listening. Take care.